Hello everyone, and welcome to Mr. Simplifies Tutorials. In this video we're going to look at the basics of PRINCE2 project management. Now, before touching upon project management and PRINCE2, it is important to look at what projects actually are. A project can be started to address a business need, be it increasing profits or introducing better practices in an organization or adhering to regulations and standards and so on. So there can be many reasons to starting up a project. And what is a project then? Projects are essentially the means of introducing change in organizations broadly. And projects have certain characteristics, like projects are essentially seen as drivers of change. Projects have a predefined start date and definitely a predefined end date. Projects are cross-functional, so projects often span across different divisions within organizations and can also span across multiple organizations. Each project is also considered to be unique. Each can have different teams, different customers, different clients, different locations, etc. So unique in one way or another. Projects also have an element of uncertainty. Projects are riskier as compared to business as usual. So projects are riskier than not running the project. And what is PRINCE2 then? PRINCE2 essentially stands for Projects in Controlled Environments. So PRINCE, that's what it stands for. And PRINCE2 is essentially one of the most widely used methods for managing projects. And why is PRINCE2 used so widely? Because it's based on experience. It is a method based on experience drawn from thousands of real-life projects and inputs from various experienced project managers, academics, trainers, consultants, etc. And also, very importantly, it's designed to be quite generic and moldable. Because it needs to be able to fit into any industry, any organization, and projects of any scale or any type. That is why PRINCE2 is so widely used, because of its moldability. Now let's look at the structure of PRINCE2. PRINCE2 essentially consists of 4 elements, which are also called integrated elements. And these 4 elements are principles, themes, processes, and the project environment. Let's look at each one in detail. What are PRINCE2 principles? PRINCE2 principles are essentially guiding obligations, or if you look at it visually, pillars on which the structure of a good PRINCE2 practice is built on. Essentially these are guidelines, and there are 7 guidelines in PRINCE2, and applying these guidelines or principles is mandatory to be using PRINCE2 to manage a project. And these principles are designed to be universal, as in they apply to each and every project. The PRINCE2 principles are not moldable, they are the same for any type of project. They're also self-validating, which means they have been proven to be effective over a number of years, and they're empowering. So they empower project managers with the ability to shape how the project will be managed. So they're universal, self-validating, and empowering, which can be represented by the word use, U-S-E. So essentially, PRINCE2 principles are the most important aspects of understanding PRINCE2. And then the other elements are themes, processes, and tailoring. Now, themes are aspects of project management that need to be addressed continually throughout the life of the project. So these are like parts to a whole. So if PRINCE2 is structurally broken down into parts, these parts would be the themes. And there are 7 of these themes. And what are processes? Processes trace progress from the start to the end of the project. So essentially processes map the project life cycle. And again, there are 7 processes. And what is tailoring, or the project environment as it's also called? Now this element essentially represents the tailoring of the PRINCE2 approach to the project environment, because as we know, PRINCE2 can be applied to any sort of a project in any type of an environment or industry. This element ensures that the project is embedded into the context of the organization and blends into its working environment. Extremely important. Now, it's very important to look at some advice, some learning tips to understanding PRINCE2, because PRINCE2 has been covered in this video essentially because it's been looked upon as a set of examinations which are difficult to crack. Now, as a PRINCE2 practitioner myself, here are some of my tips to crack the PRINCE2 exams. Now, understanding PRINCE2 essentially means that one needs to really understand the 4 integrated elements to begin with. So I recommend that you imagine it visually. Now, if you look at PRINCE2 processes, when they're tailored to the project, they create a life cycle essentially, and then if the themes and the principles are applied towards throughout the life of this project life cycle, then we have successfully applied PRINCE2. So it's very important to imagine it visually, as in the processes mapping the project across its life cycle, and then continually applying the themes and the principles. And the learning approach that I would recommend for students is to start off with memorizing the 7 principles, themes, and the processes. And then it is important to explore each principle first, and then each process, and then each theme. Now, a lot of courses on PRINCE2 are structured to go from principles to themes and then to the processes, but I highly recommend that you go from principles to processes and understand how a project is actually laid out, and then you should go into the themes in detail to see which theme is being applied at which point, and how the principles also plan out through the life of the project. Now, do you want more on PRINCE2 covered on this channel? Now, I can positively say that to cover the whole of PRINCE2, one needs more than just YouTube videos. One actually needs interactive learning management systems to see things visually and actually apply the learning. So me covering a set of videos will not be sufficient for you to actually understand PRINCE2. So I do highly recommend, and actually this is the reason why I'm not covering the principles, themes, each one of the principles, themes, processes, etc. in this video, because it just wouldn't make sense if you are not actually able to visualize them. I do therefore recommend that you invest in a formal training course if you want to pass the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner exams. You don't have to actually choose expensive classroom-based training courses which are like very intensive and packed in 5 days, 4 days, etc. If you actually want to do it part-time through cheaper online learning courses, that's good enough. I know a lot of people, including myself, who were able to crack their PRINCE2 exams very successfully and very convincingly through online training materials. Because you have to essentially remember that the PRINCE2 Practitioner exam is an open book exam, but you're only allowed to use the PRINCE2 official manual. So you have to actually know the PRINCE2 manual sort of inside out. You have to know what's where and use this information during the course of the PRINCE2 Practitioner exam. But having said all this, if there are certain aspects of PRINCE2 that you want me to cover in detail, please feel free to comment and ask questions and recommend video topics for PRINCE2, and I will be happy to consider them, and I will be able to share my knowledge, experience, and help you pass the PRINCE2 Foundation and Practitioner exams. Okay, I hope this introduction was a bit useful for you. As always, support this video for more regular content, like and share this video, and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Thanks very much.